In what is basically an admittance that it was a massive midterm stunt, the White House is now bringing troops stationed at the Mexican border home. Now, these troops shouldn't have been there in the first place. As I just mentioned, they were nothing more than a ridiculous stunt made by the White House. Now, Politico is reporting that Army Lieutenant General Jeffrey Buchanan, the general overseeing the deployment, has confirmed in an interview that troops sent for engineering logistics will soon begin coming home. Now, why is that? Well, it's because there's literally nothing to do. That's because this was nothing more than a bullshit excuse to rile up the base for the midterms. Now, according to the New York Times, Pentagon officials privately derided the employment as an expensive waste of time and resources and a morale killer to boot. So it's estimated that it will cost somewhere around $200 million to station these troops on the border at the wrong place, by the way. This isn't a port of entry. They're just placing them on the border far away from the caravan is expected to go, which again is a port of entry to which they are going to go and ask for asylum. That's actually how you ask for asylum. That's how you do it the legal way. So, anyway, in interviews with the troops deployed at the border, they described their days of building barbed wire fences and trying to scrounge together amenities to make their makeshift bases more livable. Now, what are they actually doing there? Well, the Times notes that beyond that, the troops are tasked with the same types of logistical support and even clerical jobs that the National Guard soldiers sent to the border earlier this year have already been doing. So they literally basically have nothing to do. So not only are they there for no reason, they also, according to this report, don't have adequate living arrangements. Electricity is spotty. They can barely charge their cell phones. There's barely a shower. There's no mess hall. And of course, these soldiers, they're there without these amenities, and they're also are there and are going to avoid spending the holidays with their families. Why? For no reason. For no reason. Now, Representative Anthony Brown, the Democrat from Maryland and an Iraq War veteran, told the Times, quote, when you send a soldier on a dubious mission with no military value over Thanksgiving, it doesn't help morale at all. Well, of course. That's exactly what they did. They sent him with no mission, inadequate supplies, all for a political stunt. And that's all it was. Trump has literally used the military and politicized it for his own gain, or attempted to for his own gain, except that it didn't work. It didn't work out at all. They were basically hit by a blue wave. But of course, the soldiers there, they don't care about political gains. They don't care about the politicization. In fact, the military doesn't want to be politicized. And troops don't want to end up being deployed for nothing more than political stunts. So they actually care that people are wasting their time on a non-existent threat like the migrant caravan. And these troops, while being deployed in crappy conditions, are not getting bonus pay. They're not getting hostile fire pay, because why would they? Because they're not going to be under fire. They know they don't need their supplies. They don't need. There's a part of that article where soldiers were stringing up barbed wire fence, and they just left their combat gear, their vests. They're like, we don't need it. And there are several soldiers that actually had passed out from heat exhaustion down here. We know we don't need that supplies. We don't need our, bulletproof vests or anything like that, because what threat are we facing here on the border? We don't have a threat on the border. This is bullshit. And it's all to, of course, to fight the so-called invasion by migrants from Honduras. It's ridiculous. Those people are not a threat. They're just people fleeing violence in their home countries, and they want to request asylum. And that's what they're doing. But according to the right wing and according to the racists, they are a threat simply because they're brown. They're the peasant culture, according to Queen Racist Ann Coulter. who contributed what she calls the browning of America. Oh my God, how terrible is that? They look different than we do, and they don't speak English. Oh my God. We must put the military out on a bullshit mission in order to appease these racist people. I can't wait for the day that all the racists go back underneath their rocks and they stay there, while America gets more diverse and actually does better for it. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.